So today we're going to talk about layers, and layers are one of the easiest ways to organize the photos you have for a project. Now I just want you to see the setup that I have right now on the screen. Right now I have an image of a plane and a butterfly, and you can tell they are on separate layers because when I press this icon that looks like an eye, and I click it on and off, you can see that the images go away one by one, and that they're associated with a different layer. I wanted you to see this before we started manipulating the photos so you could understand how layers actually worked. Now, to import a photo onto this project, let's say we want a landscape for these two objects. You follow the same technique. You do File, Open as Layer. So that means this photo will open in the project that you already have, but it will just be a new layer. Now you can see you can choose anywhere in your computer, and I have this picture of winter here. That would be nice to open. So here, you can see over here, it's named the same as the picture was in my library, and it is a new layer. So I can turn it off and see what I had before. The other nice thing about layers is usually this landscape would go maybe behind the plane and the butterfly objects. So here I can drag and drop what order they show up in. So now, if I turn the butterfly off, you can see that the winter landscape is behind the plane, and that seems to be in the correct order for this right now. Now, the winter picture conveniently came in at a good size, but maybe this butterfly is too large. So a way to fix that is to scale it. Now, over here in the toolbox, which I referenced to before, it has a lot of the tools that you'll be using for many projects. So the scale tool here is this blue one. And to scale a picture, you click on it and you select the picture you want, you click on it, and this box will come up. And over here, you can press on the down arrows and see the image actually shrinking. Once you found this appropriate size you want it for, you can press scale and it will now change your image. If you want to move your image, going back to the toolbox, there's this icon with 4 arrows, and that's for move. Once you select that button, you're free to move the butterfly anywhere on the screen. So, now, going back to our winter image, we can say that maybe we want to make an image that's winter with a plane flying in the sky with maybe butterflies around too. But sometimes when you put photos together, you intentionally want them to look like they're all part of one photo. And then sometimes you want to have that collage aspect to it. Right now we'll work on making the photos look like they're intentionally collaged together, like they still have nothing to do with each other. So to start off, let's say we have the winter background, and let's say we want to change the colors that are used in it and the look of the actual piece. So here, a good tool is the brightness and contrast tool. This tool has a lot of the effects that you've probably seen on photos before. These sliders here will change the contrast between the colors. Basically, high contrast means each colors look very different from one another. And low contrast means the colors are more similar and they're not as stark. So here you can see that when we have the winter picture selected on the layers, we can change this and it will change it in front of us. And then when we're done, we can press OK, and it will change that. Now, another thing that we might want to do to the winter photo is to change maybe the hue of it. Maybe we want it to be pink tones, or blue tones, or green tones. So this will actually change the whole color that the whole photo has in general. It will all be toned one color. And then again, we can make it lighter or darker, and then again, adjust the saturation. So you really have endless options on what kind of style you're looking for in your picture. Now, next, if we move on to the plane photo and we want that in the sky, you can see when we put it on, it just has the sky that the photo is originally from. And most people probably wouldn't want that in their picture. So there are a few ways to go around fixing that. One option is this pink erase tool in the toolbox. If you actually erase the image with the eraser, it's quite tedious and it could take a long time. So, as you can see here, it's not very exact and it would take a while. So another option is to use this free select tool that looks like a lasso. And when you use this tool, you use it to click around the outside shape of the plane as exact as you want it to be. Now, you can see me go around it. I'm not being perfect because for the piece, it doesn't need to be as exact. Now, you on your own, you can decide to click more points to match up with the actual edges better. Now, once it's selected, you can copy the image, and now you can see it here on your clipboard. So we're going to make a new layer, and we can call it New Plane. Now, if we turn off this old plane, we can see that the plane image is still selected in the background. So we want to go to Select None, just to get that off the screen. Now, if we click the paintbrush icon here in the toolbox, we can see that we can physically click on the plane icon that we had before. And if we drag it onto the screen, we can see now that the plane is on the screen without any of the sky background that it had before. Now if we turn on our winter image, you can see that it fits much better. Now, usually planes are flying at an angle, not straight and horizontal. So for that, we might want to rotate. So we'll go over to our toolbox again, and next to the scale tool is the rotate tool. So when we click on this icon and click on the plane, another box will come up, similar to the scale tool, except it will have an angle. And here it angles the plane around the center pivot point that you can see as a circle. And once you get it in position you like, you can press rotate and it will be there. Now the last thing we have to do is to create butterflies in the sky. So I like to turn every layer off except for the one I'm working on. It just makes it easier to make sure you're not making mistakes to anything else. Now here we have a butterfly. And here we're going to use the lasso tool, just like we did with the plane. And we're going to cut around the shape of the butterfly. Since butterflies in the sky are typically smaller, we don't have to spend as much time cutting it out because the details won't be as important. Now, after we cut it out, we want to copy it again. But this time, if we want, we can paste it as a new brush. And we could name it Butterfly. If you think of a paintbrush, it's something that you use a lot to make the same repetitive motion. So let's say we wanted 100 butterflies in this one piece, and then in another picture we're making we wanted more. It would just help us out if we made it a paintbrush, so then we wouldn't have to keep cutting it out every time. So now, if we turn on our new plane and our winter, and we don't select anything, we can see that our butterfly brush is right here. So to use it, we have to click the paintbrush tool again. Now you can see on the screen that that butterfly looks quite large. to make the brush larger or smaller, you use the bracket buttons on your keyboard, and they're right next to the letter P. So the left bracket makes the butterfly smaller, while the right bracket makes it bigger. So here we can have a few small butterflies, and if we make a new layer for this, we can actually see them. And if we move the layer to the top, you can see how they appear on the top of the screen. And we can make some large butterflies and a few more medium-sized ones. So the last thing we might want to do for the butterflies is to rotate them. So again, similar to the plane, you select the image, and then you can rotate them at any angle. The last thing I wanted you to realize was that all the butterflies you placed on that layer all rotated at the same angle. That is how layers work. So if you rotate a layer, everything on that layer is going to rotate. And that's just important to keep in mind because you don't want to keep everything on the same layer for that purpose. If the background and the plane were on the same layer and we tried to rotate it, it would just be rotating at the same angle. So next time we'll look at using more of the paintbrushes and the text tools to draw your own images and logos.